AWS Presents Tech Pioneers in association with CNBCTV18.com.
AWS Presents Tech Pioneers in association with CNBCTV18.com. And we are discussing pushing the boundaries of new possibilities with GenAI. GenAI is poised for significant growth. And India is at the forefront of this growth trajectory. By some estimates, generative AI could drive a 7% or almost $7 trillion uplift in the global GDP by significantly improving productivity in the next 10 years. Now, last year, enterprises partnered with the solution providers or system integrators and mostly experimented with GenAI through pilots or POCs, which were focused largely around cost reduction, adding velocity, or quality improvement. Today, now on the other side, global solution providers are also actively building GenAI capabilities to unlock innovation, productivity, and build comparative advantage. Now, viewers, in this interview series, we talk to some of the most distinguished leaders from the IT/ITS industry and get to know their perspective. And on that note, we have today with us Joseph Anantharaju, Executive Vice Chairman and CEO, Product and Digital Engineering Services at Happiest Minds Technologies. Now, Joseph, an alumnus of BITS Pilani, IIM Ahmedabad, has over 30 years of professional experience, the majority of which has been focused on helping technology and digital engineering companies unlock new levers of growth and innovation. Happiest Mind, his company, enables digital transformation for enterprises and providers by delivering seamless customer experiences, business efficiency, and actionable insights. As born digital, born agile, the company has also been recognized among great places to work and has also been recognized for its excellence in corporate governance. Welcome, Joseph.
Thank you.
It is great to have you on this in this series. So, Joseph, let me begin by congratulating you. Happiest Minds has truly delivered a great quarter, one of the finest quarters, I would say, in recent past, if I can say that. And this is against a backdrop of an economy which is right now a little unpredictable or choppy, right? So my first question, which goes to, is that what's the secret sauce? What are you guys doing which you are getting it right?
As you said, it was a really good quarter, and we delivered industry-leading performance, probably a second or third best quarter that we've had, since we went IPO. And then I think the base foundation is our value proposition of digital native, helping companies with their digital transformation, along with customer centricity. That's what has really helped build the company. On top of that, for this quarter, I saw 4 levers that really helped us. The first was the creation of the GenAI business unit, which has started contributing revenues, all additional revenues that we didn't have earlier. The second is verticalization that we carried out, which helped bring different parts of the company together. And that's again helped us to expand into some of our existing customers. The third, I think we're seeing more traction and working closely with partners like Amazon and others, technology partners, where we leverage the newer technologies, take it to market jointly, and help customers solve their business problems, leading to more revenues. The fourth is acquisitions. We did 2 acquisitions in April-May timeframe. All of them, contribute revenues, and more importantly, we are seeing more cross-selling. For instance, Pure Software and Aureus, the 2 companies that we acquired, didn't have much capabilities on AI or GenAI. And these are strength areas for us where we've been able to go into their customers and cross-sell. And similarly, some of their domain capabilities we are taking into our customers. So all of this has come together and helped us deliver the kind of quarter that we have.
Joseph, let me take a step back and talk about the macros here. While Happiest Mind has been doing really well, customers are cautious, right? There is a optimism, but it is cautious optimism. Last 2 years relatively have been slow by the historical standards. I think with the elections now over in the US, the EU elections over, the Fed rate directionally going down, there is some degree of positivity or optimism, but we are still not out from where we are or from where we think we are. What's your perspective if you take a 12 to 18 months view of the industry? What do you think will work out? What do you think will still remain a problem?
See, one of the conundrums that you see in the overall market is that the base US economy was doing good. There was some challenges in 2023 on the inflation front, but that got kind of resolved in 2024. If you see the growth rates, GDP growth rates have been decent, 2 to 3%.
Yes, yeah.
Unemployment is at 3.7 to 4%. Inflation's come down below 3% now. So all of this should lead to good demand. I think what was holding back is the geopolitical uncertainty, and more importantly, the US election. I think that's done and dusted now, right? You have a pretty decisive result, which gives the current government the ability to act a little bit more decisively. And the other factor is, I think there'll be a little bit more of a pro-US or inward-looking view that this government will bring to the table, which at a global level, some of the economic factors will help drive demand next year, removing the uncertainty in US because it is the largest economy. And we also think that the US economy will continue doing well, just given the inward-looking focus, which should lead to customers getting comfortable with your spend. And we expect that in the next 12 to 18 months, the various initiatives that had been put either going slowly or put on hold, these should get opened up. The other factor that we expect will play a huge role is Gen AI, because I think customers have been looking at various ways to leverage this technology. They've been doing a lot of POCs, and we expect more of initiatives to move forward and spend to start taking place. So given that our focus, the new business unit we created, and our focus on US is more comparatively speaking, we feel quite good about where we stand, and all we need to do now is execute.
You talked about the Gen AI now, so we'll change track towards Gen AI. A lot of conversations, lots of pilots happening, and customers are looking. Solution providers are sort of building capabilities and building solutions, baking those architectures in their solution framework. So a lot of momentum happening, and I'm seeing this clearly pick up. You clearly have a strong and a very clear vision around generative AI. Talk to us about what are you seeing in the market from the perspective of what's working and what's not working, because everything, I'm sure it's not all so great out there. There must be areas where I think there is clearly a momentum, areas where some work needs to be done. So your perspective on that, and how are you addressing that? How are you differentiating around it as Happiest Minds?
So, when we, 2 years, because I think 5 years back is when we started playing with some of the foundational models of Gen AI. But 2 years back, when the technology started gathering steam, we took a step back. Typically what we've done is when there's a new technology, we look at whether it should be a practice. If it's more techno-business, we form it as a center of excellence. Or it could be a business unit, which we had not done so far. So when we looked at Gen AI, we took a step back and said, should this be a COE? Because clearly it was a techno-business area. Should this be a COE, or should we form it as a business unit? So the difference in the business unit is that you have a complete go-to-market structure, delivery structure, practice, everything embedded in it. And it's a big investment. And you have to really justify the investment. So we spent a few weeks having internal deliberations, bringing multiple leaders in the company together, hearing out their views. And we thought that this technology was extremely transformative. It can be a huge growth driver for Happiest Minds, as I mentioned earlier. So we formed this as a business unit. And once we did that, we also brought in our CTO as the CEO, because he's very strong on both the techno and the business front. So this set the base for us. And once we started going to market, a few things that we saw which were interesting. If you look at customers, we could put them into 3 categories, right? One is early adopters. If you look at especially EdTech, which is very content heavy, we saw that the adoption was quite fast. Things like virtual tutor and other applications, where you could get quite a bit of automation, could get more personalization, and do it leveraging this technology. We saw them moving early. The next set I would call as the experimenters, and a bunch of companies fall into this space, where they're looking at how can you really use Gen AI, and then you have the innovators who are trying some really different things, may or may not work. They seem to have a viewpoint. So that's one learning that we got, when we got into the market. The other thing that we saw is that many customers had heard of this technology, but they're trying to see how do we really lay it on, and therefore having both your domain experts and your technology people who understand Gen AI deeply work together became very important, because you had to take business problems and then see is there an applicability to Gen AI. And as we were doing this, what we realized is that if you're able to put together a catalog of use cases, it becomes easier for customers. So we looked at it both from a vertical and a horizontal standpoint. For instance, if you take a legal or a contract management application, that cuts across all verticals, right? Or in the HR space or finance. But if you take something like building an application for submitting applications to FDA, your approvals, that becomes very specific to a vertical. So we've come up with a catalog of use cases that we are able to take to customers. It helps you resolve part of the initial conundrum they have. What should I do? How should I do it? And then you get into specific conversations. We've had around 60, 70 almost every customer meeting that we have and I've had has at least a little bit of time devoted to Gen AI. And customers are curious what others are doing. So working with multiple customers gives us the advantage of being able to distill out some learnings and share with our customers. The other thing we've seen is that most of these engagements start as POCs, and how well the POCs are done and what value you show determines whether the project gets into larger implementation. And with some of our customers, what we've seen is that they actually do the POC, take it to the end customers, kind of run it by them, get some feedback, and then commit larger funds. So the ability to help our customers to visualize the ROI, then build a POC that customers would like, both from a feature and a UI standpoint, and make them understand the ROI and then take it into production. All of these become very important.
Very interesting, and I'll say I'll be tracking this because mostly we have seen that generative AI is now a COE, as you rightly said, with most of the organizations, or it's a practice or horizontal which supports the entire organization. Very unique, very differentiating, very refreshing. I would say that you also have it as a BU parallel to other BUs, business units. And you're also clearly tracking the revenue and
we're reporting it as well,
which is great. Joseph, what is also refreshing is the intentionality, which I know for sure your team is putting in, making sure that you're also consuming the architectures, the use cases internally. And you have been quite successful in that. I know for sure that there are a number of ways in which your functions within Happiest Minds are using that. Want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So once we formed the Generative AI business unit, started putting the team together, we went out and spoke to a few customers. And as we spoke, what we realized is that in some cases, customers wanted to see proof of the pudding. Have you done this earlier? And again, we had a bunch of folks that we had brought into the team. And the third element was we had quite a few internal functions and applications which we thought could do with automation or with Gen AI. So we asked our Gen AI business unit to go look at across all our corporate functions, whether it's HR, talent acquisition, finance and accounting, marketing. Is there use cases? How do we leverage this technology? And we came up with a bunch of use cases, around 50 or so. And we prioritized a few which would touch our people first. and also have an impact on business and started off with them. A few of the applications which we've already built and people are using, one of them is what we call SmilesBot, where people are able to query on all the policies that we have and get their various questions answered instead of scrolling through multiple policies. Another one is Search Pro. And here what we've done is we built an application that would allow our talent acquisition team to quickly match a JD against a resume. And so what would take a half an hour or so, they can do it in a minute or less than a minute. Again, for our legal team, when they're putting together contracts, we built an application that helped them quickly, by giving a few constructs, put the contract together at 85–90%, and then your overall time required comes down. So we have a few other such use cases that we have either implemented or implementing. But what it allows us to do is to tell to our customers that, hey, we've actually dog-fooded this technology. We know it works. Look at the productivity that we've got out of it. So there's more credibility when we make suggestions or proposals to our customers.
Very impressive. That brings me to our partnership, Joseph. And ours is a very valued. We look at you as a it's a very precious relationship which we have today. I want to hear from you your views of working with AWS, working with Amazon. How is that working out?
So, Amazon is one of our primary partners. It started off with AWS because when we started the company, most of our customers were building their applications on AWS because there was more of high-tech and the ISV companies as our customers, and many of them tend to build their platforms and applications on AWS. So we had to build deep capabilities on AWS, the various web services, the data layer, and we've continued, as AWS has evolved their platform and services, we've continued to build capabilities. What we've done over the last few years is build a strong go-to-market, both at a technology level and at vertical level. So we're engaged with various vertical heads within AWS, and we also started engaging with account executives, and it's really worked out well for us. And as a continuation of the partnership, once AWS introduced Amazon Bedrock, we took a close look at it. One of our hypotheses is that foundational models allow you to build applications that are more customized for your end user. And we found that Amazon Bedrock, with a plethora of foundational models, allows us the flexibility depending on the specific customer requirement and also provides scalability. And I just want to share a few instances out here. For instance, for one of our customers in Europe in the automotive segment, we've used Leverage Claudio to help them build their product catalog. So from their product catalog, if they need to do a description, a lot of content involved out here. So they're leveraging Claudio to really automate and get greater productivity. Using Titan, Amazon's Titan, I'd like to share a couple of use cases. One of them is that of a research companion. So if you're a researcher in a laboratory or a postdoctoral student, you need to pull in research from multiple other avenues, journals and papers. You can use this application. It's almost like a companion for you, assistant. It just pulls all of this stuff, puts it together, and you can then go in and decide how do you want to structure it, make some changes. Third example I'd like to give again on Titan is a company in the manufacturing space. They make these huge gearboxes, and typically when they sell their product, it goes with a plaque out there, telling you what RPM it can run at, temperature and other things. And these tend to be at places that not easily accessible. Again, we built an application to easily access this. It's an image detection application, but it can reach out into the database, and instead of you looking at the plaque, you'll get all the data about it. So we're seeing interesting use cases and working very closely with Amazon and AWS to take this platform, Bedrock, to market.
Thanks, Joseph. And that brings us to the end of our conversation. Loved every part of, learned a lot, loved every bit of the conversation. Very excited that in such times there's great momentum with companies like Happiest Minds growing at such a rapid pace and doing great work. So making us proud in India here. So Really happy, and thank you so much for taking time out. Viewers would love this conversation.
Thank you. My pleasure. It was great talking with you. It was a nice conversation. Thanks.
Thank you, Joseph.
AWS Presents Tech Pioneers in association with CNBCTV18.com.